Well, certainly it's alignment of expectations, right? Because most frustration is the result of unmet, unspoken expectations. But one of the first things we really have to do is understand who is your team and what tools are you using, and are the expectations clear and aligned?
Hey, welcome back to the show. And today I am so pleased to have the man, the myth, the legend. Bill, will you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, first of all, Todd, thank you for letting us be on with you today. We're real excited about what you're doing in the marketplace and how you're creating this platform.
Thank you.
But my name's Bill Simmons. I own and founded Thrive Business Operations. We deliver fractional COO services. The way I try to describe it is that we serve business owners who are frustrated that their operations can't keep up with their vision, right?
Which is most people, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I never promise that we're going to close that gap 100%.
Right.
Because if you're a visionary leader, you're always ahead of the pack. But we do want to shorten that gap, right? And reduce that frustration and get operations able to accomplish your vision and your desire for growth.
I hear you, man. So your target audience, is there a niche that you hit? Is there a business size that you like to deal with? Like, who is the perfect client for you?
Yeah, so we love working with privately owned businesses. I'm really in that probably $5 to $30 million range of annual revenue. We've certainly served clients above that revenue range and below it. We find ways that we can, our mission statement is serve people, solve problems. So we're going to try to find ways to serve outside of that core. But really, we're industry agnostic. We say you be the expert in your industry. You're calling us because you want us to be experts in operations, right? And so we're able to work across industries, but certainly that's kind of the starting point for who we want to have conversations with and who we think we can serve.
Love it. I love it. All right. So that being said, I happen to hit the same target audience, and this podcast is directed to that target audience. So if you're listening, chances are you're one of these people who are owning and operating a business in that $5 to $30 million range. And you all know the key pain points you're dealing with, and operations is definitely one of them. Bill, tell us about the difference. Every business needs a visionary, and it's not wrong to have visionaries, but where do they sometimes fall flat on their face when it comes to operational?
Yeah, well, certainly there's a challenge in a growing and scaling company that if we're working with the founder, and a lot of times that is who we're working with, right, in that $5 to $30 million range, or you've either founded the company or you're a second generation of a legacy company, right? And you've had to wear all kinds of different hats to get to where you are, and now it's time to really find a trusted partner to really come along that is going to understand your vision, understand the culture you're trying to create, and grow with you. There's too many people out there saying, well, if you do it my way, here's the results you're going to get. Our thing is
100%.
Like you got to where you are today by trusting your gut, right? You need somebody that's going to come along and try to replicate your vision and your culture. So we really feel that, that really starting point conversation is one, I've either been doing it all and I'm wearing too many hats and I'm tired of doing that, or they've tried hiring an operations person and honestly had a failed experiment, right? And we could do a whole show just on that.
I think we could too. I've seen enough of those failures, and to be quite honest, I've failed as a founder sometimes. Like, what do I hand off to my operations guy? What do I let them take care of? What should I expect them to do for me that I feel like I'm really good at, but probably aren't very good at? Yep. And I think that's the gap, right? That's the chasm. How do you help a founder realize that they're good at some things, but operations may not be the thing for you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's not just bringing competency in a partnership with you, right? It's bringing the process, business operating systems. We've all read, various books. I have 5 right here I could just put on the screen and say, that honestly, all 5 of these books say similar things. But, I don't think we use enough. EOS and Traction made the term business operating system somewhat popular, but I honestly don't think we use that term enough. We have our version, and I could give you again 5 books that have different versions of business operating system. But it's really that somebody is not just coming in operationally to take on tasks and say, okay, well, we got that done. But it's really strategic direction, running the business 90 days at a time. We call those quarterly sprints, right?
Sure.
Business is a marathon of sprints. And let us, really come in, partner with you to understand what your quarterly priorities and objectives should be, and helping you run the business that way. That really meets the need of a business owner to take that to the next level.
100% agree with you. And for those listening, it is so hard for any one person to take, it's hard to launch a business, and it's hard to get to 5 million or even 2 million is hard to get to. But once you're there, you should be making some money. You should be profitable. And you start thinking, what are my next steps? What are the next hurdles I've got to hit to kind of get me to that 10 million, 20 million, 50 million range? And Bill, you and I are totally aligned on this. It's systems. It's an operational system. It's a playbook. It's a how do we do this so that I can teach someone else to do it next, right?
Right.
What are some of the first things that you like in your engagements with companies? What are some of the first things you see that you're like, okay, I got to check this, and this?
Well, certainly it's alignment of expectations, right? Because most frustration is the result of unmet, unspoken expectations.
Right.
And so I know it doesn't sound super sexy, but one of the first things we really have to do is understand who is your team and what tools are you using, and are the expectations clear and aligned, right?
Right.
And so really then once we're clear on expectation, it's communication and accountability. And I meet with business owners all the time that say, you know what, I don't want to micromanage accountability. Now, honestly, I don't believe in micromanagement either, but we do need to put systems and processes in that clarify expectations, make sure communication is clear, and that accountability is found on the other side of that. Totally. So there's a lot in the very early stages. We call it the deep dive. And during the deep dive stage of an engagement, the quick wins, we believe, come from getting alignment in that fashion.
Yes, I would have to agree. Quick wins are what guys like you and I are always looking for. And you can almost always find them in alignment. So there's so many people thinking they know the direction of the company that every part of the company, even when you got 10 people, 20 people, sometimes it's going whoa, all over the place, right?
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's an important gap to fill, right? Because if there is a gap from what you expect as a business owner and what your team is trying to execute on, you're always going to be frustrated. You're never going to, you can't understand, why don't people see it the way that I see it, right?
100%.
And so our goal is to make sure that we're filling that gap.
Right. Now I can remember, the first business that I scaled past $5 million in revenue, it was so exciting because we were making good money. It felt good. But I was running ragged. I was wearing so many hats. It was very hard for me to delegate. I didn't feel like anyone could do what I was doing as good as I was doing it. And I think that a lot of people listening are feeling that way as well. What do you do? What do you do to help them feel like, here is the way. Here is what you need to let go of. Here's how you let go of it. What are some of those tools and tricks that you do to do that?
Well, we use something we call the Thrive Matrix. It really is our version of understanding energy and effort. Right?
Okay.
And
I like that.
I think it's as simple as, what is life-giving versus what is life-draining, and what is making impact and what's not making impact, right? So the energy is if it's life-giving, if it's life-draining, is it giving me energy or is it draining me? Like this here, I love this. This gives me energy.
Right.
So I always say, if you tell me I have 5 minutes to speak or I have 5 hours, you have to let me know, because I can fill both spots. because it actually gives me energy to have these types of conversations and engagement. You tell me to put a spreadsheet together, I'm saying just like, poke my eye out right now. That is a life drain. It's not that I don't have the capability to do it.
Right.
It's just not the best use of my time. So what we really want to do is make sure, where do you want to be working on the business instead of in it? I know that's a phrase we hear a lot, but truly where it's not that you're wanting to try to avoid being engaged in the business. Because what I find is if you've founded a business, you want to be engaged. Like you want to be you want to be in the game. Nobody wants to be on the sideline.
Right.
And you don't want to be in the cheap seats. That's why you started the business, 100%. Right? So you could be in the game. And so how do we help you find that and then clarify that? And let's get away from you doing things out of necessity. When you started the business, you did everything out of necessity.
Right.
In my company, every client we had for so many years, Bill Simmons sold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was the business, right? And as we've grown now, I had to check my ego in at the door and realize, there may be some other
100%.
people who can actually sell this service better to me. And how about this one, Todd? When I productize how we deliver the service, Bill Simmons used to be the best fractional COO on my team. Now I am no longer, I am no longer the best COO on my team.
Doesn't that feel good?
Honestly, I might not even be the top 4. And so where do I need to be focusing my attention?
Right.
And what is and am I willing to change as the business changes?
I love it. And if you're not willing to change, you're never going to grow. And, we all see companies in that 5 to 10 million range, and we look at them sometimes and we think, wouldn't that be awesome to be where they're at? I look at it sometimes and I talk to those founders, and so often they are trapped and they don't know how to get out because they're literally 60 to 80 hours a week and they can't operationalize what they do every day. And so, it's funny when you look at the guys in that 30 to 50 or even $100 million range, they've learned that when you plug people in that are more high value than you are in a specific niche part of your business, they kick butt and start taking names. And you're like, whoa, all of a sudden we're growing in areas that didn't think we could. And it was because they were the bottleneck.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, Todd. So here's 2 things I say about that is, one, if you have a vision that is bigger than yourself, right? So you're not just trying to give yourself a job. You're really trying to grow a business and scale it to growth. If you have a vision that's bigger than yourself, then it requires more than yourself.
Interesting.
So you have to you have to be willing to say, I can't be all these roles.
Right.
I have to bring other people into this vision.
Right.
I have to bring other people into where this journey of where we're trying to go to together, and be willing to share. Share vision is not just I verbally spoken.
Right.
It's literally link arms together and share with me this vision and experience.
Agreed.
Big difference.
Agreed. I am so glad you're here, and I just wanted to take a few seconds to tell you about a program that we have assembled with a lot of our podcast guests and a lot of people who are listening to the show who are feeling the same way that they do. There's a recurring theme. You'll hear a lot of these founders talk about, I couldn't have done it without my team. I couldn't have done it without a support group of peers. I couldn't have done it without having someone to talk to that understood my feeling of isolation as an operator of my business. You see, you're not alone. It is hard running a business, and it's even harder when you know you can't express all your deepest concerns and frustrations with your executive team. It makes them nervous. It gets them scared. You don't want scared people on your executive team. So where do you turn? The Captain's Council is where you turn. The Captain's Council, it is an organization that we are put together with podcast guests, as well as people who are listening who are in the same boat. You see, peers are the only ones that can give you the type of empathy, the type of advice that only a founder or operator know and understand. Go check it out at captainscouncil.com. I know you're going to love what you see there. we have put together an organizational structure that has small group settings, a global community of founders and operators, as well as monthly and quarterly in-person events. You're going to love what you see there. I can't wait for you to check it out and enjoy the rest of this episode. And how do they do that, though? You know, I see this and I hear what you're saying. You know, I'm in engagement right now with a client who is in this boat. They're about a $50 million company. They have multiple properties, multiple venues, and they are having the hardest time aligning the resources to feed all three locations, as opposed to, you know, there's a lot of operational problems that they're running into, a lot of friction in places. How do you help a business like that become more congruent in the way that the flow of the business operates, and no matter what location? How do you get them to be the same? How do you get them to gel the same way?
Well, certainly, you know, you talked earlier about, you know, process. Like, so we've talked a lot about people so far, right? People being aligned, people being expectations and communication, accountability. You know, I always say, you know, it's not people or processes, it's and both. And so now you're doing the hard work of process creation, right? And not just like with people, where we need to clarify expectations, communicate, and hold accountable. Dare I say, use the same three for processes. Our processes, are we able to truly clarify the expectation of what the outcome is supposed to be? I know we're all familiar with OKRs, right? Objectives and key results. And if you're not familiar with that in the audience, then just Google OKRs and you're going to get more information. But it stands for objectives and key results. I really wish that they didn't use the word objectives. I really wish they used the word outcomes. It's outcomes and key results, right?
I like that. Yeah.
So in the processes, do we clarify what outcomes we're wanting and making sure we know what that expectation are? Have we communicated with our team how to deliver this process? And in the world of AI, it's like we're always we're looking for the solution that checks the minds in at the door. We don't check the minds.
Agreed.
Your processes are only as scalable as they are trainable.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we're not only clear on the expectations and outcomes, we're able to communicate and train this process. And then, you know, accountability is measuring. Are we measuring whether or not these processes are truly delivering those outcomes?
Right.
That turns into the accountability, right? And so part of that in your example is if we're, you know, I know just not to be dangerous, but with your example, but if we're not booking those venues in the same, you know, format and process, if we're not delivering how we manage each one of those in the same methods, then it's hard to scale as a company. We have to be clear that we can take those processes and deliver them in any location with any
100%. They have to be consistent across all locations. Otherwise, you're just replicating work again and again and again, and your cost of goods sold just keeps, your overhead just stays higher than it needs to be when you could systematize and centralize even a lot of the operations for all three locations, which is what we're doing right now, which is a fun project. But, you know, for those listening, you know, and I would love to dive into your business itself, Bill, because here you are, the guy that talks about it all the time, that does it all the time. Tell us about your growth. How have you been able to, I guess, utilize your own systems and practices into growth and scaling your own operation?
Yeah, that's great. So one of the things I love when I have an opportunity to speak with a business owner about how we can serve them, and I know that they're having conversations with other people, and they can be, again, whether it's another firm like ours or it's a single shingle that does operations and they're having a conversation with that person. I always say, don't bring somebody on your team to help manage people and processes that doesn't have a process on how they deliver that for your company, right?
I love it.
And so the proof is in the pudding, right? So we have to swallow our own medicine. So one thing is we practice what we call the Thrive Op Cycle is our business operating system. It's our 5-step process on how we deliver fractional COO services we geek out about that all the time on sharing that with companies, that this is exactly how we're going to deliver serving your company.
Love it.
And so we have to run our company on the same Thrive Ops cycle. So we're focusing on strategy and clarifying, running our company 90 days at a time.
Right.
That's our promise to the client, is that we will help run your company 90 days at a time. So we are running our company the same way. We're coming up with our OKRs. We're sharing that with our team at every team meeting, giving them an update of whether or not we're on track or off track, and how well we're progressing in those obstacles. So we have to swallow our own medicine and run our business with the same business operating system that we're asking our clients to.
I love it. And that is so powerful. And that's honestly how you're able to refine your systems, right? Is by trying to implement them yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've had great ideas that didn't work. Right. And so
wait, you have?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I've had to do is, like, we've modeled, like, here's how we're going to deliver this for clients. And then we try to operate, and sell it as that, right? Because we all, try to punch up, right? And but at the end of the day, there have been many times that we've put processes in place and said, you know what, I think this is a better way to serve the client, because that was a good idea, but here's the idea that actually executes.
Totally.
And being willing to pivot with that. And we should always be experimenting on our own companies, what we're asking our clients to receive from us.
Totally. I agree. And when you're not, you just don't know whether they work or not, which is a horrible thing to be in as well. So, it's crazy.
And you have to have confidence, right? You have to have confidence. We're not just selling this concept.
Right.
We're providing a service that we actually have confidence in because we've delivered it before.
Now,
and we're practicing it in our company.
Right. And now as we talk about the fractional model in and of itself, there's a lot of things to consider. We have so many different ways to service people. Professional services businesses they can be hard because oftentimes it's a service. You can't see the widget that you just delivered to them sometimes as obviously as a product-based business is who's selling them a product, and they either get the delivery or they don't, right? But on a professional services level, how do you, what were the big surprises that you hit as you were trying to hit your growth stride and move beyond Bill being the top salesman and Bill being the best deliverer of fractional operational services?
Yeah, well, first, I think it did start with vision. That I at the beginning there was like, hey, I just had this idea, and this is something that I could provide. I see an opportunity in the marketplace. Let me execute.
Right.
And then as my vision expanded, I always say vision changes when you see things different.
Sure.
Right. So like I have a vision to climb the mountain, but when I get to the mountain and I actually see the vision of what is out there that I couldn't see from the bottom. Right. Now I see things differently, right? And so we want to see things differently. And so I did as well. I was like, I really see a firm model here. How do we productize our service and being able to train other fractional COOs to deliver this? And so the first thing is I started with a greater vision, and then it was trusting others. And I'm real proud to say that though I founded the company, today I have a business partner. Her name's Kai Bailey, awesome. And we work together. She came on an engagement because I was in a season where I was able to outsell what I could deliver by myself. I needed support. Now, don't hear me. I've been in both places, right? I've been where it's the other way. But that was the season that she and I became connected in. She had her own business, and we realized, we're really trying to do the same thing. We've really discovered that together we are the definition of synergy, and so now all of a sudden it's like, hey, the concept works, and then you bring on somebody else, and you're like, now. So the first thing was, who else can deliver this service besides?
Interesting. Yeah,
right? That was the beginning for scalability for me. Is who else can deliver? Now, then we got to the place of who can sell this service besides me, right? And both of those allowed us to be able to get to a place where we begin to see growth.
Love it. Fascinating. This is such a fun conversation, and I love what you're doing. For many people listening, if this is you, let us know in the comments. I know that Bill and I would both love to be able to see who is struggling with this transition of getting beyond yourself in your growth stage, because these are the gold nuggets you need to hear. These are the things that are going to help you more than almost anything else in developing new product and all the other customer service aspects of your business. Knowing how to grow beyond you is going to be the answer to all of your problems of growth. Would you agree with that, Bill?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, we've all, I'm a vicious reader, and we've all read the good
Right.
books that are out there. But it's not how, but it's who, right? And making sure that we're asking who should be doing
Totally.
this besides me. And as you're scaling, and you're moving from the quadrant of being self-employed to really being a business owner, you actually have to get out of the way of the business.
Love it. Well, I love this conversation. And Bill, I need to know before I let you go, who is it in your world that's been kind of a big impact on the way you've been able to grow and scale a business? We love to get a shout out. Is there someone that you've been able to lean on, or an example that has been there in your corner to help you get to where you're at now?
Well, certainly, because I think there's certainly a lot of kind of mentors from my past, and and I think books are great mentors, and the people out there. But for me, honestly, I spent a lot of my adult life kind of being a personality who was just kind of isolated. And my best friend is named Rick Stroud. I call him, reach out. He owns a local real estate brokerage, is just outstanding and growing. We met probably about 10 years ago, and I'll be honest, every time I actually told you all the things that as excited as I could get, also the doubts that have crept into my mind from time to time. He has been the person who said, well, why wouldn't you do that? How couldn't you? And so when I made the transition in this business to do some of the ways that we're delivering now, he was just one of the people there that, inspiration, encouragement, accountability. I put all three of those things, even today, where, when I have doubts, and we all have doubts, it's not, you can't, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is a journey of faith. And that's not really just a spiritual experience, but like the moment you say, I believe I can, that's his faith. And then you start the business, you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm right. Doubt creeps in. So you can't have faith. You can't have faith without doubt. And Rick's been one of those people who has pushed me to operate in my faith, even when I've had doubts.
And how many business owners do you work with that don't have doubts?
I've yet to meet one.
I agree with you. Even the people you think that are the most successful have huge doubts about what they're doing, and is this going to keep working? You know what I mean? So if that's you, listen up. This is a great conversation to have. For those of you needing operational help, I can't recommend enough. You talk to Bill. He clearly knows what he's doing. He's putting into practice what he's doing. And I know that most of you out there need help operationally. So get on a call, talk to Bill, see what he can do to help you. And if Bill and you don't work out, find somebody. Get a peer group. Get something in your life that's going to help you see that you are the bottleneck, that you need to put systems in play. Read the books we've talked about. Do something, but please don't hesitate to reach out to Bill. Find out what he can do to help you. And if you're not operationally sound, or there's something missing, let somebody come in and point it out to you, and then come up with a plan to help you execute. So Bill, thank you so much for being on today. I loved the conversation. Hey, thanks for taking the time to enjoy this interview. I loved this talk with Bill, and I loved our post-interview call. If you need operations help, you should know where to go right now. And if you don't know whether you do or don't, you should reach out anyway, because chances are you have operations problems. This is one of the most common problems of all small businesses. And the reason that they don't grow is they don't have good operational protocol in place. So give Bill a call, find out what he can do to help you. And for those of you that don't want to call Bill or don't have the resource to talk to about operational problems, you need to be part of a community. You need to be talking with other CEOs, other founders of businesses who are in the same boat you're in, trying to grow and scale their business. I have found nobody better than an active CEO to catch up with and talk about my operational problems and my systems that I'm trying to incorporate in my business. I love talking to other founders. They think differently. They put operations in play that can help you. And I can't tell you, the best place to go to find these relationships is the Captain's Council. Check out captainscouncil.com, because that is where you're going to find a community of other CEOs, other founders, and other people who are in that growth and scaling mode of their business who just need to talk to other people. Put together, imagine the perfect board of advisors who are all active CEOs. How much would you pay for that? Well, you'll be shocked at how little it costs to join Captain's Council. Check it out today at captainscouncil.com. We'll see you there.